G'day. So update 4 is here, and we have started a brand new, fresh start, a brand new world. And we are going to be doing this playthrough completely vanilla. We already did a little bit of prep work before the update dropped, which you can see a couple of videos on that. And on this video, which will be the first episode of the vanilla unmodded playthrough, what I'm going to be going through is what we've done so far and where we're going to be headed. Alright, let's get right into it. So, we started off in the desert here, rocky desert, and we built this starter base. This was the starter base with the hub, and we started unlocking all the tiers of technology. I knew that this starter base would not be the mega base, and we're always going to move it to the grasslands, which I'll show you in a little bit. Instead of deleting the starter base, we're going to convert it, which we're doing now. We're converting it into a motor factory. Now it's going to be producing, once it's finished, 305 motors per minute, which is a pretty decent amount. Alright, let's go over and have a quick look. What we did with this factory is what I call bottom-up planning. So what we've done is grabbed all the resources from this biome and brought them into this base here and calculated from the amount of resources we had, how many motors per minute can we make. Now with Satisfactory, there's 100 different ways to skin a cat with all the alternate recipes, but we calculated it off the ones that we used, basically. Alright, so the other thing we did is, once the update dropped, is we rushed getting this hover pack, which is pretty damn awesome. So I just do a quick little tour of this motor factory, and bear in mind it's probably not even halfway finished. We've got some steel over there, we've got some iron getting made here which can be doubled. This concrete setup here is temporary. Whole bunch of copper here. I'm not going to go through all the numbers of it, I'm just going to quickly get through it so we can get to the rest of the stuff. I'll go right to the top, and we have a couple of temporary things up here as well. So we had a whole bunch of temporary storage for plastic and rubber, and a whole bunch of temporary storage for aluminium sheets, which are the Mark V belts. So we got a lot of that stored up. We also have some Caterium making some quickwire, which also is temporary. This motor factory is going to require a lot more machines, and I'm going to make an entire video on it once it's complete. Alrighty. So once we got this started, we pretty soon realized that power would be an issue. We're currently running 160 coal generators, which is giving us 12,000 megawatts of power. Okay, I'll just switch to the jetpack. The other thing we're doing in this world, because we're playing completely vanilla with no mods, is using hypertube railguns as one of our methods of getting around the map. This particular one takes us over to our coal power plant area. The idea of this playthrough is to go for nothing too fancy, but have everything really neat and clean and functional. Okay. So down here we have 2 rows of 20 coal power plants and another 2 rows of 20 coal power plants here. So that's 80 coal power plants. And as you can see, it's nothing fancy, it's just laid out neat and clean. Over here, I got a little bit carried away building this, but that over there is another 80 coal power plants, just set up in a more fancy way. However, it's okay because we've got an airport design on the top, which will get us around the map. Now with the new update with power, I'll just have a quick little comment about the power. We did have a few issues with the power. We calculated all the maths exactly and went over it 3 or 4 times. The maths was exactly, so the power plants were going to have exactly the right amount of water. Now we always seem to have dramas with power plants just going off, not getting the right amount. And I'd like to know if anyone else is having the same sort of dramas with power. As you can see here, we've got a nice flat line, and then look at that. For this video, I've had a flat line forever, and somehow we're dropping a power plant. Anyway, that's just something we'll sort through. So I'll come up to the top of this using the sweet hover pack up to our airport. I'll probably get something for this so we can go right to the top, and there's a little lookout / landing zone. I'll probably put a tower or something up there. Alright, so this looks pretty cool, but we're not going to go crazy making it look fancy as we are playing unmodded. There's a hypertube railgun going to the west to get to places to the west. We'll put one to the north because there's a whole ocean full of oil over there. This one goes to the grasslands, which I'm going to take now. And then we have room set up to set up a railgun, which will shoot us off into the desert. So yes, did get a little bit carried away with this power plant, but it doubles as a nice tall airport place. Alright, so never forget to, when you go through a hypertube railgun, switch from your hover pack to your jetpack. Otherwise, you might find yourself in a little bit of hurt. Alright. So this one does shoot you up quite high. I generally put the map on and follow the trajectory. I can pretty much, we've calibrated it so I can pretty much hands off keyboard and just watch it float through. A few taps of the jetpack will get you there. Alright, I'm going to land on this big structure that we've been working on. I say I'm going to land on it, but hopefully I don't miss. Yep, okay. Cool, so yes, we built all of this in vanilla. Every single brick has been hand placed. It took a few hours to measure out. This is going to be the mega factory. Alright, so we've got some nice big pillars, and these 4 pillars here, or pylons, are going to be what bring up all the goods. So there's plenty of room for belts. The other reason this took so long to plan out is because, if I can just find, there he is, the manta ray. So he is flying around the grasslands, and it took me probably, I don't know, a couple of hours to mark out this base. Yes, it's perfectly orientated north, south, east, west, but the main thing for people with OCD is that old manta ray here doesn't clip through any of these supports. Other than that, we're not really 100% sure about what we're going to do with this, other than fill it full of machines and get some serious production going. So it's an evolving piece of architecture. There he goes. I won't watch him, but I can assure you he doesn't clip any of these pylons. There is going to be a hole in the center, just so you can look down and actually get perspective of how big this thing is. Alright, I'll move on over to the train station. If I fast forward any of this video, it's just because I don't want it full of boring bits of travel. Alright, so this is the belt bus from the train station, and it has enough room for 24 belts coming up this nice little archway, and it's all concealed in the middle there, and I've also brought power up to here so far. If we need to, or if we want to, we can always change these belts, one or the other, for pipes if that's what we decide to do. But we're going to go for more complex parts, getting brought into this mega factory, not like ore and ingots, and have lots of satellite factories all around the world, building the more complex part to bring in here. Okay, so what you see down there is a temporary setup, and that is just making all the basic materials like concrete, plates, rods, screws, copper, cable, and all of that stuff that you need for building. And that down there is just a temporary setup that we've built so that we can start transferring the starter base into a motor factory and actually bring our base down here. Okay, these train lines, you'll notice that they look a lot smoother. Somebody in one of my previous videos or streams pointed out that if I change these to one tiles instead of two, it will smooth out these train tracks, and it has done that. I'm pretty sure the guy was called Brain Geyser, so apologies if I got the name wrong, but cheers for pointing that out. And I do appreciate like people pointing out mistakes and tips and whatnot, so I do read the comments, and that's just an example of one of them really helping me out. It's pretty good. There goes the manta ray. He is not clipping that, I can guarantee you. Alright, so from here I'll hop in a train if there's one here. If there's not a train here, I'll just cut the video and reappear at the quartz factory, at the crystal oscillator factory. Alright, I just quickly had to make some beacons to make this train. I'll hop in the train and I'll fast forward it so it doesn't take too long. Alright, here we are at the crystal oscillator factory, or what I've made of it so far. We are going for the goal so far of this playthrough of making 100 turbo motors per minute on the alternate recipe. Now I've done a bit of big math so far on what we need, and we need 47 crystal oscillators per minute, which is a fair bit. Okay, I've built a little train station here, nothing too fancy. Getting some quartz and the rest of the materials required to build the crystal oscillators. This factory is going to have a whole bunch of smelters, a few refineries, 20 here making the quartz, and the main thing it's going to take is the 47 manufacturers required to build the crystal oscillators. And this is all part of the turbo motor project, 100 per minute. So this factory here needs a lot more done to it, and we're going to expand on it as we need to. But so far, this is all we've done. Now I'll make my way over to the power station that we're doing. Alright, here we are at the power station. Well, it's not a power station yet, but that's the latest thing that we're working on. So if we just check the power again, we're currently running off coal only. You'll see a nice flat line, which we've had for hours and hours and hours, and then when I made the video it decided to dip for some reason. Now I think the problem with that power is when you load and save a game, it must do something weird with the pipes, with the water, or something like that. Because me and Fry have played for hours and never seen this line dip. And I just loaded a save game before I made this video. I have a feeling that that might have been the problem. Anyway, moving on. We need more power. So, we do have 12,000 megawatts, and we do have a pretty big buffer here. We're not using 9,000 yet. A lot of the machines are backed up as well, so we will draw more. Our plans for power so far, we're obviously going to do nuclear later on, but we're going to go to turbo fuel. We're using the new blenders, and we're going to be using this recipe here, which is the alternate diluted fuel. And then we're going to be going into turbo fuel using this alternate recipe here in the blender. What we've worked out so far is we're kind of doing this on bottom-up planning. So what we did was we grabbed a pure node of oil here and a pure node of oil just here, and we worked out how much heavy oil residue we can make. So we've laid that out. Well, Fry actually built this factory, and it's in keeping with what we want to do, as in the style. Not too fancy, but nice, neat and clean and efficient, which is exactly what this factory is. And he's gone ahead and put a few flashy little purple lights in here, it looks really cool at night time. These lights turn on at night and go purple, because the stuff it's making is the purple stuff. The purple liquid. Anyway, what we've got here is enough 1600 heavy oil residue. We do the calculations through the blender to make this fuel, and then we make the turbo fuel. We actually get enough turbo fuel to run 400 fuel generators. Now, that being said, we don't have enough stuff to build that yet. So we've got a slight change of plans. We're going to use what we have here, which is 600 fuel per minute, just standard fuel, and we're going to build 40 fuel generators and run them on normal fuel. That's our plan so far. Then we'll get the production up, finish the motor factory, get some aluminium going, and once we have enough materials and power to because we need to build another 40 blenders to get turbo fuel and mess around with sulfur and stuff. So we'll go 40 fuel generators, and then later on we'll go 400 fuel generators. So the plan is to upgrade from 40 to 400. So we just got to replicate whatever we build with fuel generators another 9 times, and then away we go. And then we have, I haven't calculated it, but it's a hell of a lot of power. Yeah, that's our plan. So I'll finish it there. I've already had a few people ask to share the save file. I will share the save file progressively throughout this playthrough. So once we get these 40 fuel generators up and running and we finish the motor factory that we saw at the start, I'll make a video and I will share the save file. Anyway, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you later.